And welcome to yet another Three Speech podcast. I'm a mad lad, a jihad, today sporting a very shit moustache. I'm joined by Mr. Hate Speech, but now known as Controlled Opposition, Mr. Leo Curse.
Please get vaxxed and boosted several times. If you feel sick afterwards, it means it's working.
It's working.
Darius, you know who you look like today? Apart from like a lot of Latin American rapists. Now, you know who you look like?
No.
Joey Page.
Yeah, I thought that the other day. Do you want the lie story or the real story of why I have a moustache?
Oh yeah, why have you got a moustache? Is it November thing?
Well, exactly. That is the lie story, is I've done it because it's November. But the real story is obviously I got bored, thought this might look good, and deeply regret it.
Yeah. It's funny when you go to Australia, or if you watch American podcasts and stuff, you see people with moustaches completely unironically. They're not hipsters. They're not like you trying to try things out to spice up an otherwise dull life. They're just unironically wearing a moustache.
Yeah, this is their life.
Yeah.
God, I look like also what this has reminded me is that I've got no chin. Remember? And I'm slightly fat. So I need to get... You can only have a moustache, I've decided, if you have a chin and you're not slightly fat. I think...
Like that Burt Reynolds. If you got a Burt Reynolds jawline.
Yeah. If you haven't, don't get a moustache.
I might be getting another hair transplant.
Why?
Because for free for an advert, they want to give me a hair transplant for free, and like I do an advert for them.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Where in England?
No, it'd be in Turkey.
Where what did they approach you? How did this come about? This is interesting. Behind the scenes of the hair transplant.
Oh man, I'm going because of my YouTube channel, because it's more successful than Three Speech.
I'm getting people. I just want to interrupt you for 1 second. You know how little we do the podcast and how little effort. We've got like 2,400 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, I know it's not like amazing, but considering it's basically me and you doing a Zoom call, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's got kind of lower production values than Have a Work. Like we're not doing a Patreon funded trip to Tennessee or anything.
But we're getting a free. Well, you're getting a free. Tell us about your hair transplant.
Oh yeah, so yeah, but like I get. Well, yeah, that's it. They're just like, well, they're wanting to steal the pictures of my hair at the moment.
But when we did mention a hair transplant, they just said, "Oh, we think you need a hair transplant."
No, they're basically so they're advertising on digital on GB News. So there's like, because there's a I think there's still an advertising boycott against GB News, which is really dumb, because it's like, why would you? It's not democratic. It's not fair to be like, oh well, this segment of the population, they're disgusting, we don't want them buying our products. It's that's a really snide, divisive sort of what's the word? Not racist, but like discriminatory. They're like discriminatory. Especially as like people who watch GB News are generally kind of richer, because like they're not dumb. They're like, they're like looking for an alternative. Same as Three Speech. I bet the people who watch Three Speech are like overall like richer and cooler and better than like people who listen to Owen Jones's podcast or James O'Brien.
Well,
how the fuck is James O'Brien gonna? All James O'Brien can advertise is vegan food that makes you fat. You know what I mean? You ever never noticed? Man, I work with this vegan guy who's fat as fuck, and it's because all the food is just carbs. It's disgusting. It's all processed shit. But yeah, so there's like no boycott and like digital stuff, and like all advertising spend is going digital anyway.
Well, I was gonna say, but isn't it? I mean, it's short-sighted from brands. We're gonna go into this because GB News currently is dominating Sky and BBC news according to the Barb ratings. But I mean, listen, it's going to come as no surprise to our listeners that we all know it's ideological, and we're going to get into it later on, which is this week.
It was the Guardian leaving Twitter and this.
Exactly. The Guardian have left Twitter because they, oh, we're leaving. I mean, but what was really painful, which might actually be the death knell, is Clifton Suspension Bridge has also left. I don't know about you. Where will you go? Where will you go for your riveting daily updates on the Clifton Suspension Bridge? Now it does not have a live Twitter feed. I don't know about you, but I was like, what is happening with the Clifton Suspension Bridge today? Yeah?
Yeah. And also, why didn't they say we're going to suspend our account? You know what I mean?
Like, listen, they forgot how good you are at puns. They could have reached out to you for a pun, but okay, how can a bridge go woke?
Man, and the annoying thing is, so it's just like museum. In case you want to like find out about a bridge before you like go across it, it's this museum, so it gets taxpayer money. They get taxpayer money, but they're saying to like all the taxpayers on Twitter, like half the country or whatever. They're saying like, oh, you're disgusting, you're scum. It's like, well, okay, but like, surely those people shouldn't have to pay tax to pay your wages if you're just going to spend that money, turn around and call them scum.
It's Clifton Suspension. Is this the one in Bristol?
Yeah, I've been over it. Well, you'll have been over it as well. Isn't it the big one that goes like across the, like when you go into, there's that sort of spit, like not spit, but estuary thing that comes up.
To be fair, it's a pretty good bridge.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Probably built by Isambard Kingdom Brunel or something.
It was built by Isambard Kingdom. What's your favorite bridge?
Probably built by somebody whose statue's been torn down for being racist because he wasn't wearing a keffiyeh.
It was Isambard. How can Isambard be racist? His name's Isambard. That's like the most racist sounding name I've ever heard. There's
every fourth kid at Barbados.
Yeah, Isambard. I never even heard that. What are your favorite bridges? Let's go through them.
Jeff.
Good. Yeah, Jeff Bridges.
Actually, no, because he came out and endorsed Kamala.
Well, that was a wait. I mean, but how much did he get? Listen, how much did he get paid to endorse her? I would have endorsed her. Shit.
Did you see the thing that was about? So Beyonce got like 10 million. All these celebrities that were coming out and being like, "Oh, you got to vote for Kamala." They're all getting money and they're all rich already. You know what I mean? And like, not only are they getting money, but like, so Kamala went into debt. Her campaign she spent over $1 billion in this campaign. And it's all like just like a jolly, you know what I mean? They're all like, oh, I want to hang out with Beyonce, so let's spend 10 million quid on Beyonce. Also, Beyonce came out. They didn't contractually specify she has to sing songs. They just sort of assumed it was, a given. If you're Beyonce and you're doing an appearance, like what else would you be there for? So Beyonce turns up and just like, hey everybody, so here's Kamala Harris, and then just leaves. So then everybody's raging because Beyonce didn't perform, and it'd been billed, everybody been tweeting adverts and stuff saying, oh, come see Beyonce perform. It's like a free Beyonce concert to butter people up. So then it probably turned people off voting for Kamala.
Well, undoubtedly it did, but these are the same people. Kamala Harris raised from her donors over £1 billion and still ended up $20 million, and still ended up $20 million in debt. She can't pay all her staffers that were working for her. I bet you she paid Cardi B and everyone else, Beyonce and everyone else. But these are the same people that were gonna run the US government. We could be trusted with your money. Oh, yeah, can't be trusted with your campaign money, let alone the. But that's the government finances for you, though. That's how little because the money to them doesn't mean anything, so they could just spend it. That's why it's so
large.
So frivolous, but actually it's been a week out now from Donald Trump's election victory, and things are starting to fall into place. He's starting to get his cabinets is getting on. There's discussions about whether being good picks, bad picks.
Did you see his defense secretary?
Yeah, the Fox News military analyst with the Clifton.
He's got tattoos of he's got proper crusade tattoos. He's got Deus Vult on his bicep.
Well, I've seen online that some people, some MAGA supporters, are disappointed with some of his picks. And as a committed MAGA supporter from the beginning, I You know what it is? I was speaking to Louis, and he was like, look at he's put who did he nominate? Rubio. Is it Rubio? And apparently he's shit. But actually, like I said, look, let's wait and see what happens. I think what my kind of read on it, some of the picks I like, some I don't like. Last night he announced Kennedy's going to be his health secretary. That's good. Tulsi Gabbard's going to be the director of the National Spy Agency. Intelligence. I think also by making Rubio, the Secretary of State, what that means is he can fire him. If he was still a senator, he couldn't fire him. So, I mean, wait and see. But
he'll still be a senator, won't he?
No.
It's like,
no.
Oh, no, you stop being a senator and you move up to... So why would you want to? Because, like, people... Like, going to work for Donald Trump, you got the same sort of lifespan as, like, a man going into the Air Force in World War One. You know what I mean? You got 11 hours in the air, and then you're dead.
Yeah, but I think that's got to be the pinnacle of your career, being other than the president. Where else you're going to go? If you're someone's in the career, that's pretty good. And I think you can go back to being a senator, but then you'll need to, run again or however it works. Obviously, take everything I say with a grain of salt because I don't really know much. So if you're listening to us for listen to me anyway for genuine politics advice.
I got invited to dinner with Marco Rubio.
Oh yeah,
in Newcastle, but I guess he's going to be too busy to come now because it sort of said in the thing there's all these American senators and stuff coming over and but it said at the bottom dependent on their obligations for because the invite was before the Trump Trump won.
This dinner in Newcastle with Rubio sounds like the time I booked a gig in Bracknell and I said that Chris Rock would be headlining. he might not be able to make it because he's got other commitments. Why would the senator from the US?
I was wondering that as well.
Why Newcastle?
Well, the guy's trying to set up like a CPAC, Conservative Political Action Conference. Is that what it stands for? I went to the one in Australia. It was really good.
You never even told us about that. Tell us about that.
The Australia one.
Yeah, a few things that we just kind of brushed over. One, we might have touched on it. Leo wrote some jokes for the Donald Trump Catholic roast because everything was going crazy.
I didn't know it was for the roast, so I didn't write roast jokes.
I know, but it's mad, right? So Leo was asked to write jokes for that, and also you were flown out to the Australian CPAC conference.
Yeah.
Do like a half an hour set and their little talk, but we never even spoke about it. Where did you go? What was it like?
It was Brisbane. Oh man, it was great. The only thing is, it's a long way to go for I was there for 4 nights, so flying all the way to Australia for 4 nights, especially like Brisbane, because it's like you can't fly direct. I think you fly direct to Perth. But yeah, man, it was like 30 hours travel each way, and so I was a little bit spannered, but I had it was good. There was I had meetings and stuff with lunches and stuff with all kinds of interesting people, like Sal Grover, who, funnily enough, I'd just done a video on. So Sal Grover had this app called Giggle for Girls.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's like a women-only space. And then something like blow, where all right, you get like Blair White could have used that app without. Basically, the app is this facial scanning technology that can tell if you're a bloke, if you got a mustache, or if you're a woman, and and it's correct 98% of the time. The other 2 times it's somebody who's a bloke with a frock on.
You know what though? Those are the forgotten victims of all the transmania. Ugly women. No, ugly women. It's like, listen, time was you were just an ugly woman. That was your lot. You worked on personality. You got a guy, you became a good mum, and you had strong kids, right? That was the thing. But now, men see these ugly women and think, listen, I'm not going to take a chance on having strong kids with her because it could be a dude. So now they're getting mislabeled as having a dick. So anyway, so what was... Yeah. So did they fly you out business class, or who brought you out there? What was it?
No, it wasn't business class. But I might, I really wanted to do it because if well, I wanted to do it because I wanted to go to Australia. I wanted to make connections in Australia because I want to move to Australia or America because like Britain's gonna. Man, I'll go to jail. I'll go to jail in Britain. I can tell. Like, look at Alison Pearson. The police knocking on her doorstep over a tweet that was sent a year ago. You know what I mean? There's no fucking way I'm not going to jail in Britain in the next 10 years if I stay here. So I want to move to, like, even though Australia's got a bit of an authoritarian government, I think there's something in the Australian spirit.
No, man, Australia, I would say, listen, for me, Australia as a country to live, work-life balance is amazing, but on kind of like woke progressive issues, I think Australia in some ways is worse than the UK.
I think there's certain bits, like the Victoria government during lockdown were way stricter and stuff, and there's certain bits, but there's like way more of a pushback. And what I noticed at Australian CPAC, there's no shame about being conservative. So whereas in this country, you know, people are kind of ashamed of being conservative, and people are very, you know, talk themselves down and stuff. I know it's the British thing to do,
but that's changing though now. That is definitely changing. Like you can see that. Listen, the boat turned in 2018. That was when the big change. That was like peak woke 20. Actually, probably the year you got cancelled in. When was that? 2018.
That was about then, wasn't it? 2018.
That was about the peak of like the virtual signaling woke, and it turned. It just taken so long to kind of steady this ship because everything. Basically, what happened is all these companies, media companies, putting out film movies, they all had to lose so much money till they start realizing, oh, actually, and come to the other side. But
and also, it's amazing how like the Trump victory showed that, like, you know, they can put out all this propaganda and stuff. People might like pay lip service to it. You know, if you're in an HR interview, you might go along with the pronouns or whatever because you don't want to get fired at that moment. But people know it's all bullshit. You can't fool the people. So all this propaganda is just like, but I mean, Trump coming in and slashing the state, Javier Milei doing it in Argentina, slashing the state, it needs to happen. The great thing about it is, like, Trump's using NATO as a lever to sort of project freedom of speech to Europe. He's saying that if Europe shuts down X, if Europe restricts the freedom of speech of its citizens, then they're gonna potentially pull out of NATO. So it's forcing Europe and Britain and Australia, which are, you know, sort of drifting into this crappy, shitty communism, is forcing them to sort of stay free, liberal Western countries.
Well, yeah, I would. Just before I forget, I was going to say how you know it's turned. You mentioned pronouns. AOC has just removed her pronouns from her Twitter bio. It's done. It's dead. Some people are desperately trying to cling on, but it's done. John Lewis advert. It's all white. The white.
I couldn't believe it. I watched the advert. I was like, fucking hell. It's like 1984 or something. Like, not the book, the actual year. It's like, I was like, normally the Christmas advert, it's like they've obviously just paid some fucking ad agency like millions and millions of pounds, and they're just wanking themselves off with cocaine and stuff, going like, oh, we'll order all the finest transgenders and, you know, lesbian dwarves and all the rest of it. And they must be Polynesian and Papua New Guinean, you know what I mean? Because this has to represent a diverse and multicultural Britain. It's like, well, doesn't a diverse Britain have some white people in it? You know what I mean? Does it have some people who aren't fucking trans? And, you know, like the Boots advert. The Boots advert is all, there's not a single fucking non-trans. Everybody's transitioned at least one way. You know what I mean? Like, Santa's like a triple trans. He's transitioned from female to male to female to male. Like, it's ridiculous. Actually, Santa in the Boots one is the one white guy. And obviously he's depicted as lazy and stuff. But you see, man, it comes down to money, like you're saying. Like, as soon as it hits the bottom line, you know, then people are like, oh, wait a minute. At the end of the day, like, you're there to make money.
And and the thing is, they kind of run out of excuses because they had. Is that your? Are they still gonna? You know,
man, you know what? Like, there is not a fucking day goes by there's not drilling in this place.
Oh, is this from that guy?
No, it's not. It's not that guy. It's like, man, there's always fucking drilling.
All right,
there's always drilling. It does my fucking head in. I want to move out to the countryside or America. I want to buy a big house in America so I can, like, live, have some space. Not crammed into some little shitty in London.
The house, the whatever you're paying in rent, you could buy like a mansion in America.
Oh man, looking at the prices in America. Well, looking at prices for houses in the UK. I mean, like to get a sort of all right house with a garden, you're looking at, man, just a ridiculous amount of money. If you're anywhere near London, so you can still work in London, and then you look at what you get in like Texas or Arizona, and it's like fucking hell. And it's like a nice place to live. It's not like, people aren't, ugly little wonky toothed hobbits. You walk around, there's like hot chicks in bikinis on roller skates and stuff. It's just, it's a much better country.
Yeah, well, England, I don't know. England's going down the tube. We've got some good things. We do have some good things. I'm not going to shit on the cut. And I actually think it's bad because I saw Eva Longoria, but I'm leaving. During the election, what I saw who was good for the election? Do you know Charlie Kirk? You heard of him?
Oh yeah.
He was asked by like some like leftists, "Oh, what will you do when Kamala wins?" Right? He's like, "She's gonna win. What you gonna like?" As I get like tried to rile him up. He goes, "You know what I'm gonna do? He goes, I'm gonna stay." He goes, and he turned around and said, "What would you do?" He goes, "I'll leave the country." He goes, "Well, I'll tell you what I will do. I'll stay and try and fight and change the country to say I've done everything to make it better." And what's interesting with all these leftists is they're all like Eva Longoria, Guardian, whatever. They were, "I'm leaving. That's it. I'm out. Bye." And she's just done that. "I'm leaving. I live in Spain now. I've left dystopian USA." But it's kind of like a cowardly and also just like you have the ability to do that. It's different if you're leaving.
Yeah.
I think for you, I think what you're actually saying is like, yeah, America. Listen, I think the reason you would want to live in America isn't so much that England is shit, which it is, but more like there's more opportunity in America. It's a funner place to live. It's a bit. The problem with it.
Also, I want to live in freedom. I want to be able to say, I want to be able to speak the truth. And I want to be able to speak freely without worrying about, the NKVD knocking at my door at 4 a.m. and taking me to the gulag, which is like what Europe is literally communist
thing. What is the NKVD? Tell us about
the Soviet secret police in the Soviet Union who'd go around. I mean, I don't know if you read Gulag Archipelago, but it's this guy.
You knew that. You knew that very well. That I hadn't read that.
Well, I got halfway through it. But it's this guy who Alexander Solzhenitsyn or something he's called, and it's kind of autobiographical, and he uses other people's accounts as well. And under the Soviet Union, how just arbitrary and just insane the system was. Yeah, that's not it. But
no, this is
the
thing about her non-crime hate incident. I'm just showing the story.
Yeah, so basically, the Soviet Union, all authoritarian regimes, they have these laws that anybody could be seen to have broken, and so then they can pick and choose who to intimidate by arresting them for those laws. So these hate crime incidents, I mean, everybody's said something that somebody could have found offensive. These two cops turned up at Alison Pearson's door on Sunday morning, Remembrance Sunday morning, and they're like, You've committed a non-crime hate incident. And she's like, "What?" And they're like, "It's a tweet." And they're like, "Which one?" And they're like, "We can't tell you." So, there's this whole vague, real Kafka-esque, like in Kafka, Metamorphosis, or whatever the fuck it was, the trial. It's, he never knows what he's done. It's all this bureaucracy, and he's just lost in this sort of fog of confusion all the time. It's the same thing. They won't tell her what the tweet was. She said, "Oh, who's the accuser? Who's accused me?" And they're like, "No, victim." And it's like, so the police have already decided, they're the judge and jury. They've decided that it's a victim. So because the person said that they feel bad, and this is our whole policing is moving away from like, material things to feelings. Because the person said that they feel bad, they're definitely a victim, because to feel bad, you have to be a victim. So they've already decided that there's a crime. There hasn't been any sort of judicial process. They've already just decreed that a crime has occurred. So, and this whole thing of the intimidation, like she's just out of the blue. Funnily enough, I was with Alison on Tuesday night and speaking to her about it. I couldn't fucking believe it. And even though she's obviously like a sort of a strong woman. I mean, she's been a journalist for over 30 years, I think. She's incredibly strong, respected. She writes for the Telegraph. She's like somebody who's got so there's a level of protection. Being a public figure, I think you get, as well as getting more attention, you get a bit of protection, because they can't just like cart you away and lock you up like they did with, you know, some of the people who sent memes during the Southport riots or anything like that. But she's, you know, she's genuinely scared and perturbed. Like, what happened? She's spoken to other people who were like put in jail, like taken to jail and held until they're, you know, until they're released, for sending tweets, for sending memes and things. So man, it does have a sort of, you know, then the next time she's gonna be, I'm not gonna say that because I could get taken to jail. It's a really horrible, sinister way of like controlling public discourse.
It's terrible. But let me just couple of things from the police's point of view, right?
Yeah.
A non-crime hate incident. What is that, and what does it mean, and how will it affect you? Like,
so a non-crime hate incident, it's sort of worse than getting a conviction in some ways. A non-crime hate incident is when the police decide that the threshold of criminality hasn't been reached, but still something bad has been done. So they'll record it as a non-crime hate incident, and there's thousands, like hundreds of thousands of these gone out. Harry Miller was a famous one. He took it all the way to, like, he took it to appeal. I think he took it all the way to the Supreme Court. I can't remember, but he retweeted a limerick that was deemed to be transphobic, and was and they turned up at his work. You know, the police turned up at his work, so you've got the whole, like, you know, the social humiliation of having the police come to your work or come to your front door with the neighbors watching and stuff, just like with the NKVD in the Soviet Union. You know, then all the neighbors are, you know, scared as well. Oh, what if I do something to upset the police? So basically, a non-crime hate incident. It's recorded when they decide that you've contravened against the ideology, such as, you know, saying like men can't be women or whatever, or making fun of transgender people with a limerick. Then, you know, they say that this is a non-crime hate incident, and it's kind of worse than a criminal conviction, because a criminal conviction is purged after a certain amount of time, and also with a criminal conviction, people know what it is. Like, a non-crime hate incident is very, you know, vague and woolly, but also a non-crime hate incident comes up in searches. You know, if you do, you know, it'll be on the police listings, obviously, but also if a HR department does like a DBS check, it does a background check, then this comes up, and obviously HR managers are mainly, you know, women. So they're going to be like, well, we can't hire this person because they've got, you know, they're clearly a bigot.
Oh wow! So I understand what the actual real reason behind this is. Like you said, especially targeting someone like a Telegraph journalist. They know when this hits the story, when this hits the press, other people are, oh, I'm not going to say what I might have said. That's what it actually is, right? That's the real reason behind it. We know that, and it's to curtail, to make you second could doubt yourself if you're going to say something online. But what was the police, do you know when you spoke to her, what the police said their kind of intention was for coming? Because if it's a non-crime hate incident, what was their alleged reasoning behind it? Like, this means nothing, why are you here, piss off? Or
exactly. I mean, it's non-crime. Why is the police dealing with stuff that's non-crime? Surely, you know, you should be dealing with crime stuff. The NHS becoming like wedding organisers or something. You know what I mean? It's like, this is outside your remit.
This is why the police are so shit. This is why the police are so shit. When do you actually need the police? Your bike gets robbed, your house gets burgled, you get mugged, nowhere to be seen. They can't even give you here's a crime number. What am I going to do with a crime number? I've got no car, I've got no bike. But when something like this happened, and they've turned up, like, what's she meant to do with this information? Like, what is this other than, like you said, intimidatory fear thing? Because what's she going to do? I can't tell you who the accuser was. We can't tell you what you said, and we can't tell you when you said it. It's just that, well, what does that mean? What am I meant to do? Why are you here? What is your actual thing, your reasoning for being here? What was the actual reasoning to say to be intimidated?
And the police can explain it. And the thing is, like, a core tenet of the criminal law is that it has to be sort of easy to understand, and it has to be difficult to break by accident. You know what I mean? You can't accidentally, like, burgle somebody's house and, you know, carry their TV out the window. It's like, you know, it's just not going to, you can't accidentally kill somebody with an axe. It's just, you know, it's not, like, criminal law is usually, it's obvious
when you've
committed
done
a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know when you've done a crime, and that's a key core thing. And it's for the police need to understand it as well, because I mean I worked in the police. They're not always the intellectual heavyweights, and these two guys obviously they've also been told this is what we have to do. We've got to get our Islamophobia, scores up or whatever.
We don't even know if it was about Islamophobia. We don't even know what the tweet was.
Yeah, or whatever it is, but the key things are for the police and the government. I mean, you got to remember the police is an extension of the government, what the government wants.
Right.
When I say the government, I mean like the sort of the woke blob, the
regime,
the bureaucracy that really runs everything. And we change the idiots on the top, but it doesn't really change much. But so they're like extending these ideological, using everything as a lever to push forward their ideological aim. So that the police don't understand it, because it's not, for them, they're like, why are we not responding to this domestic violence? Why are we not responding to this, this car getting broken into? Like when my car was broken into, like I phoned the police and they were just like, yeah, like here's a reference number. I'm like, no, aren't you going to send somebody down with a little fucking brush to get the fingerprints and stuff? And they're like laughing. You know what I mean? They're like, if it was a misgendering, they'd fucking send somebody down with the equivalent of the little brush.
SWAT team.
Find out how the get the outline of the misgendering.
That's crazy. So what's happening with that? What did she say then? She just felt intimidated, but like they're not going. What's their next step in the process, or that's it? And now she's got.
Well, this is the thing. They couldn't tell her. They couldn't tell her like what she'd done. Like they couldn't tell her what the next step is. You're left with this sort of, just this vague threat hanging over you, which is just so sinister. Like to do that. And with other people like Marion Miller in Scotland, she tweeted a picture of a suffragist. She's a gender critical feminist, so obviously has opinions that go against the SNP. But she tweeted a picture of a suffragette ribbon, and somebody complained saying, "Oh, that could be perceived to be a noose, so that's violence." And like, so she was like dragged into the police station and like taken from her home. She's got 2 kids. I think they're autistic and stuff. So it's incredibly traumatic for them, incredibly traumatic for her. I spoke to a Times journalist who went to see her being released and said she was flanked by these massive. It was a real the state intimidation. This is why we've got the slashback the state. People think like, oh, the state is good. Oh, it's just being fair. It's just redistributing from these horrible rich people who've got all the money, and the state's going to take it off them and give it to us. No, the state is never benign. The state is a parasite that lives off the people who do the work. And the more power the state gets, the bigger the state gets, the more intrusive, the more like evil it gets.
I think I agree. The state should be, these things I think should be nationalized. This is what I think the government should control of.
The police is already nationalized.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, just because we're talking about slashing the state. Trains, the government should just fucking take that on board. Trains should just be, people should be able to get to work and not get back.
But then after 5 years, you won't be allowed on a train. If you've
those shit.
No, you won't be allowed on a train. You won't be allowed on a train if you've said the wrong fucking thing. They'll be like, oh no, we have this. You're not allowed to travel by train.
LNER is already owned by the British government, but all the profits are sent to the Italian government because they've been bankrupt. Then the British government had to buy it, and then they send all the profits to the Italian government.
So that's how the government has nationalized it. So you want the whole of the country to be run like that?
I want cheap train tickets
and fucking send all the money to Italy.
No, I want cheap train tickets.
Just because you look like an Italian waiter.
And electricity, that should be nationalized. Like the brilliant thing that the citizens use, that should be nationalized. Everything else should
be. No, everything should be like electricity. Electricity should be so cheap it's almost free, and it's because the state involvement.
It's not. How's the state involved in the electricity game?
Are you joking, man? The state is completely involved. All this fucking green stuff. They're like, oh, we're going to build all these wind farms so we can only have some. I'll tell you what's coming over the next year. There's going to be blackouts because we're dependent on wind. And sometimes the wind doesn't blow, and we don't have the sort of sustainable because we've shut down our sort of coal and gas and all the rest of it.
Well, talking about blackouts.
Tell us about your time at the P. Diddy party.
It was my anus hurt.
When you blacked out.
I know that was the
Nearly raped you.
yeah, my anus. But talking about blackouts and climate change and all that, in Valencia now, they've just implemented a climate change style lockdown. So Valencia's just had massive floods, right?
Yeah.
And then over the weekend or over the past week, when it started to rain, they issued a town citywide curfew, and they said you're not allowed outside because it's raining. Basically, a climate change lockdown, the first of its kind. The same like it was in COVID. They've now done that because it's raining in Valencia, and people are saying the reason why there's so many floods in Valencia is because of green policies by the EU. They've removed loads of dams throughout Europe. So
Right.
and then these dams, plus cloud seeding and stuff, these dams have led to these floods.
Seeding.
Yeah, no, but what do you think? That you see the players in Dubai and stuff where they flooded Dubai from the cloud seeding. You saw that, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they're doing that in Spain.
They are in certain parts of Europe. Of course they are. When it's Spain's flipping hot country, of course they're doing it to make it in the summer when it's 30 degrees. They're gonna cloud seed. Listen, well, let's see. Let's have a look. How Valencia floods, right?
Yeah.
Is sort of Spain hit by flash floods, right? When was mega flooding? When was the last time? How many times does Valencia have mega floods? When was the last time Valencia flooded? How often is this? It's not like a thing. It doesn't flood all the time, but suddenly, just recently, when they removed these dams and they've been doing this cloud seeding, they flooded, and now they're using it as an excuse to say people can't leave their home if it's raining for your own safety. So some people on Twitter it's raining, but it's just raining, and now I can't leave my house. It's just
doing climate lockdown.
That's what they're saying. That's what hit a single country.
Yeah, man. Like, see all this stuff. Also, like the climate change, gender ideology, every branch of science, you can't question it. You can't go against it, or you get your funding taken away, and you get your So I don't trust the climate science purely based on the fact that it can't be questioned. It's become a religion. It's become an ideology.
You can't question anything, though. Oh, trust the science, trust the science. 3 years later, oh yeah, we messed up. But we knew that at the time. We knew it was going to. Well, science changes. Yeah, but we told you at the time it was going to change. No. Just going to go through. We had some topics that we wanted to discuss. We kind of touched on them. The assisted dying bill. That's
Oh yeah.
through. What do you think? So the assisted dying bill, they're trying to push this through in Parliament. What's your opinion on that?
Well, the thing is, like, they're all like, oh, we're going to have all these safeguards, and we're going to make sure that nobody, feels pressured into sort of state-assisted suicide. I mean, I think having the government kill people is just. Anybody else see a little flaw?
It's so dystopian. I can't believe that people are. Oh yeah, it should be. I think this is what it should be, right? There's a difference between assisted dying and like someone's in incredible pain, they're not living, but they're being kept alive. There's a difference between allowing someone to die. Okay, you've got cancer and stuff. We're keeping you alive with all these.
Just increase the pain, increase the morphine. That's what they do in a lot of cases. They increase the morphine until the morphine kind of kills them, but it also stops them suffering.
But my point is, I think taking away life support machine is not assisted dying. Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay for that. Like if you think you're adding the person dies naturally, that's fine. But I think it's so.
Darius is a rip the tubes out kind of guy. He's like this. He's like, I'm not gonna sit, but I'm gonna let you bleed out slowly over 72 hours.
Yeah, let them die But listen, because we've seen it in Canada, their Paralympian went to the Olympics, represented the country, came back. It's like, oh man, I'm a bit poor and I've moved into a new house. I know. I'm going to reach out to the country I've served. I'm going to ask if they can install a ramp for my wheelchair. And they went, sorry, we can't do that. We could offer you assisted suicide though. Would that help? Think about it. When you're dead, you won't even need a ramp. It's like, how it's so dystopian.
Yeah, Canada just shows how, stuff like this just instantly gets so far away from its original mission and what were originally promised. They're even, like, there's a mother of this kid who's like 21, 22, and he was diabetic and he'd lost sight in one eye and he was depressed. So, you know, he's not having a great time, but he's 21. He's totally viable. You know, you can get antidepressants. Like, you can totally, I think that's steps other than just killing him. You know what I mean? Like,
And everyone's shit at 21.
yeah. And his mother just found by accident, she was opening his mail. So maybe, you know, he had an intrusive mother as well. But she was opening his letters, and she found one from the government that was like, here's your appointment for assisted dying. And it's like, are you insane? This is a 21-year-old. You know, we're promised, oh, this is just going to be people who are terminally ill. They're going to be old and all this sort of stuff. And it's not. It's like instantly being used to sort of, you know, the government is just like, oh, no, it's going to cost us a lot of money to prescribe them antidepressants. It's cheaper to just kill them.
Well, listen to this. There's a famous story in the Netherlands about this woman. She was like in her 20s, nothing wrong with her physically. She was just depressed.
Yeah.
And she said, I want it. And they agreed. I wonder if she did it.
Yeah, she did. I remember that. She did it. She was like this sort of, she had this like crazy terminal depression though. Like she would just that was the bleakest person. Sorry, it's not funny.
29 years old. And this is her.
Yeah.
Chronic depression, anxiety, trauma. And she ended up, that's insane. The thing is, those are outlying cases, but what it will actually be used for, assisted dying, this is an outline, this and that kid, it will actually be used. And this is the thing, it's always a be kind. It's going to be used against disabled people and elderly people who are a burden on the family and you just can't bother to look after them. That's what will happen.
Yeah.
So I'll grab
and people are going to feel this, like, people are going to feel like this pressure on them to sort of do it. Like they'll feel like they are a burden. It's a horrible way to make someone feel.
I just said, Granddad, listen, our house is so small. Yours is so cute. You've been really sad since Gran died, and listen, all you do is go to Weatherspoons. Isn't it better if you just went, you know? So it's just it's crazy. So I think that will go through.
Yeah. Well, our government is hell bent on killing us, and also the other impetus to sort of, like, they've got no incentive to sort of invest in the younger generation. I think young people are starting to see this. They've got no incentive to invest in young people, or, you know, help them live productive lives or help them into employment, because they know they can import people who are fully grown and will work, and so, you know, they don't need the workers. I mean, it's a really short-sighted way to run a country. But
what do you mean how have you gone from assisted dying to the young people?
So they're killing young people.
Oh, you think they're going to use it to kill off young people?
They're already killing young people. There's a 29-year-old. In Canada, they're killing young people. Like, literally in Canada, they offer it. If you're homeless, if you say, or if you're disabled, you know, like the guy who wanted a ramp, you know, if you go to the government with any sort of issue, I think they do some sort of cost benefit analysis. And they're like, oh, this is going to cost us $12,000. Would you like to die instead? They literally like offer it as they're sort of pushing it on people. Even the Democrat voters who are fleeing America, when they go to Canada, they got offered assisted dying.
Why? Because they were so fat. We could offer you a diet, or we could just take all your weight out in one go.
Yeah, but the sort of the globalist machine, you know, the factories and everything, the business owners that, you know, fund the Democrats and fund the government. There's not because we don't have secure borders. There's not the impetus. We don't see young people as this sort of valuable resource that are going to make the next generation, because we can bring in new people. Like, population growth through immigration is higher than it is through natural birth. So, you know, there's no incentive there for a country to not kill its young. I mean, we've become this real Moloch, almost like an Aztec empire. I mean, instead of, you know, beheading our children and throwing them down the pyramid, we're using assisted dying, and we're transitioning them and stuff. It's a sick society. This is an empire. This is a civilization that's dying.
Man, you know, you just mentioned Aztec. 2 weeks ago, I did DMT with Luke McDonald and Joe. Well, I don't want to say his name. Someone's house. Anyways, did DMT, and I didn't break through, but I'm telling you, there's something to do with the Aztecs. because as soon as you,
That's shapes.
man, it was all Aztec vibes, and I must have gone. The floor went Aztec. The music sounded incredible. I opened my eyes, and I suspect we might be living in some sort of simulation because I could kind of see through the layers of what was happening in the room. And I looked at,
No way.
man, it was crazy. It's like you can see, like when a computer game renders, it was like that. The room looked like I could see through the rendering.
You saw the Matrix.
I saw the Matrix, and it's mad because I was then reading. I think it's called quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
That suggests that we are living in a simulation, and the reason it suggests that is, I don't know if you. Probably going to get this wrong, but basically, if you shoot like an atom through a hole, it bounces off a wall, right? But if you shoot two atoms at the same time, they act like a waveform as they shoot.
Yeah.
But if you shoot them both through a hole, but you don't watch them, they bounce off the wall, which isn't what you'd expect. But if you watch them, they act like a waveform. So they did all sorts of experiments, and basically, if you watch them, they change their behavior, which suggests that we live in a simulation and the world is being rendered in real time.
Is this like the double theory where if you fire one photon and there's two slits, it goes through both slits.
Yeah, this is exactly.
And it acts like a wave.
Yeah, it's that. But what it means is that, and then they put the camera before and they looked at it and it acted, and as it knew it was being looked at, it changed its behavior. So okay, we're going to put the camera after the slits, and then so it should have already not seen that we've seen it. But then it changed its behavior. It started going through thingy. Then when it noticed it being seen, it kind of reversed time and changed its behavior. So it means, like, when you're playing a game, this is what kind of made me understand, because I don't think I'm explaining it very clearly, right? If you're playing like Grand Theft Auto,
no, I think Harvard will probably hire you to teach quantum physics, Darius.
Maybe I should, but this is how you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you do a mission, then later on, but you choose one option, so option A. Then later on in the game, because you chose option A, your story takes a different direction.
Right.
So what this is saying with the thing, why this is being rendered, is like, if it hadn't been seen that you'd done option A, but then you put the camera, it goes back and changes option A and renders it as you would expect.
Right.
I've explained that terribly. Anyway, long story short, DMT was good. And I think we're living in a simulation, and it's got something to do with Aztec. Man, remember when we tried to do it and it went kind of Aztec-y?
Yeah, it's all the sort of curve, almost like a snake with the sort of zigzaggy things. But then, that's all the Aztec art. But then I guess the Aztecs were doing loads of ayahuasca, so they would have been seeing all that stuff.
Yeah, but
so that's what influenced their art.
But why is everyone seeing the same things? Apparently, as well, you break through, you see
machine elves,
the machine elves, the entity. I want to get the vape. The vape's much better because you can smoke without killing your throat. But yeah. Anyway, I think we are living in a simulation, and it's being rendered in real time, and it's got something to do with the Aztecs, which is why they crave child sacrifice. Which is, listen, that was basically, we saw we remember that concert in Houston in the Astrodome. What was his name? The flipping rapper.
Oh yeah, the rapper. I can't remember his name. But there's people died or something in the crowd,
and it was just so eerily creepy. And it's a welcome to the other side. It was like, if you could do a 21st century equivalent of a ritual sacrifice and get away with it, that was how you would do it.
Yeah.
So maybe they are anyway.
Well, I don't know if we're in a simulation or not, but we're kind of in it, so it doesn't make much difference to me. Like, if it's a simulation or it's not, I'm not fucking hopping out the computer. This isn't Tron, you know what I mean? So
it was like it was like Tron though. It was like Tron. Yeah, go ahead anyway.
So like when civilizations die, like they go crazy, their laws become crazy. They become, their people flail around and like look for scapegoats. And you see like people on the left are, even though people on the left say, "Oh, people on the right just believe oh, you just blaming immigrants, you blaming transgender people. It's not, no, we're not. Like, I've got nothing against immigrants. I want, I want a secure border, and I want some sort of system so people get in properly. We get the best people. But
you know what it is?
but
Just one second. It's when people are saying immigrants and they did this on this is what they left, and you need to be specific because whenever Trump was doing his things, he was saying illegal immigrants.
yes,
There's a difference between illegal immigrant, someone who's come here illegal. Like if I were to go to America without a visa, I'd be deported. That's
the whole open borders thing, the whole like open borders and people coming and saying, "Oh, I'm an asylum seeker," and it's like they're obviously not. You know what I mean? There's like the asylum system was set up 70, 80 years ago to sort of deal with a completely different world and completely different problems. Now we've got like mass travel and we've got the internet, so people are coming here and abusing the asylum system to get in. But the asylum system is an explicitly sort of anti-civilizational migration system. It's like you said, Mir, you tried to go somewhere. We can't do it because we're proper. We're following. We'd have to follow rules. We get kicked out and stuff. But if like I can't say, oh, you can't send me back to Scotland. That's a dangerous country. I mean, it probably will be soon. But but all these people coming to the UK, we can't even. Once they're here, they're here. We can't send them back because they're like straight away. If you're coming from, or even if you just say you're coming from Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, all these places, it's an automatic like you're here for life because apparently those are unsafe countries.
Well, I mean, but even asylum, there's ways to do that correctly. Like you go to you claim asylum, you don't just come in the country.
But if you follow the rules, you've got more of a chance of getting rejected, and it's much harder to get in. If you just get here and then you say you're from Iraq, that's it. That's it. You're here forever.
Well, this is exactly the problem with the immigration system and the government, because they penalize and make it so difficult for anyone who wants to come legally and do it the proper way that you might as well do it illegally. And then they wonder why. It's like, what's your incentive if you wanted to move to the UK, say, and you've got to wait for however long. Well, let's say America, do it properly. You've got to wait 10 years to get a green card. Do this.
Yeah.
You've got to jump through that. Pay, like, even for us to go to America to get an O visa, it's minimum £5,000 for a performer's visa. Plus, you have to this, and this loads of stuff, right? Whereas, where's someone with gonna get £5,000? What's the incentive for them when they can just go, fuck it, I'm gonna pay a travel smuggler, get in, and that's it, me done. So the government needs to sort out its own immigration kind of life.
But the government doesn't want it. It's got no incentive to sort it out. So I mean, the Labour government, in fact, they're using this situation. Have you heard of Operation Scatter?
No.
So Angela Rayner is going to move all the illegal immigrants that come into the country. She's going to move them around the country to Tory voting areas.
And is she deliberately trying to piss them off?
Well, this is what Kamala did as well. Like, airdropping the Haitians into swing states in Ohio and stuff. So basically, what they're going to do is there we go, Operation Scatter. There's some that are openly doing it. They say it's they want the rest of the country to take their fair share. But basically, what it is when illegal immigrants come into the country, they tend to gather in places where there's already a lot of sort of immigration, so in Birmingham and London, and those places are already Labour voting places. The illegal immigrants, once they get registered to vote, they tend to overwhelmingly vote Labour. At least for a couple of generations until Labour start bombing, start supporting Israel. So basically, by moving the illegal immigrants around to Tory voting areas, they're changing the electorate in that area. Labour only care about staying in power. They just want power. So if they can have an assisted dying bill to kill Tories and then bring illegal immigrants into the country, put them in those places to replace those voters, so those areas become Labour areas, that's ideal for them. Then they're rigging the electoral system for forever, basically. So I mean, it's really anti-democratic, it's anti-British, but it's what they're doing.
The thing I think this is more kind of divide and conquer thing, because how can bring in flooding certain areas with other people, giving them healthcare, etc., whatever. I'm talking more about America than the UK here at the moment. But how can it not?
They're doing it here as well.
I know, but how can it not create resentment? How can it not? It's like this is the problem, and this is why I feel, again, it's like people shit on immigrants, but it's not the immigrants are just, doing what anyone would do in their position if they had if that was their situation. You would do the same, right? You want what's best for you and your family, and they're taking advantage of a system that allows and encourages them to take advantage of. But no one would be coming here if they said, listen, you're welcome to come in, but you're back of the line. There's, just so you're aware, there's 500,000 British families ahead of you in line for healthcare, cost this. So we don't know how you're going to survive. There's no food, there's no, but do your thing. But instead, they come in, they go straight to the top of the line, and you can't blame them for that. Why would, if someone's offering you a free house, you're going to go take it, right? Of course you.
Did you see the meeting? They had a council meeting. I think it's in Manchester, because it's one of the areas that's getting a whole bunch of illegal immigrants there. And so the people there had a meeting with the local residents, and the local residents were saying, oh, we've got some concerns, and like one of them was like, I'm on a 3-year waiting list to get my hip done or whatever it is, and the politician is standing there and he's like, oh no, don't worry, this isn't going to affect your waiting list. They're all getting private medical care. And it's okay. It's so funny. And then they're all like, what the?
But exactly, what do they expect? How can you give them? How can? Don't worry, listen, they're eating foie gras. What are you moaning about?
Yeah. This won't affect your gruel.
Yeah. Like how? So like, I don't understand. It's like deliberate. I mean, this is why I'm hoping. Listen, Trump, obviously he's a politician, so I expect that he's gonna probably upset me. But I'm hoping he's gonna try and stick to his word and make some real fucking changes, because he said that we're gonna do this, and his cabinet is like there's no kind of Washington insiders, more or less. It's all kind of like people who are loyal to him, so that hopefully he gets stuff done and ends this. But everything he's come out, like I've seen it, like his videos, he's like, we're not gonna what was he talking about? I watched the video of him and he's just like, I'm not doing this trans education, we're stopping that, we're stopping this rubbish, we're not paying for this, we're gonna stop that, and we're gonna do, and people are like, yeah, you should. Like even that Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, they're like, they sent $20,000, fine, it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but still they sent $20,000 to an Ecuadorian trans dance class.
Yeah, stuff like that is like so insane. And it's the same in the UK. Like the amount of money that's wasted. I mean, you only need to look at like the Arts Council. I remember when the Arts Council, or Creative Scotland was called in Scotland, but they, during lockdown, they never funded comedy before, and all the comedians were pressing for the Arts Council to recognise comedy as an art form and fund it and all the rest of it. And then you see exactly how all this stuff works and how wasteful it is. Because like I got the forms. I thought I'll get some money from this. I'll get my snout in this public sector trough. I couldn't be filling in the form. Oh, the forms were so boring. It was all what are your pronouns? How will your project help improve the lives of disaffected transgender fucking immigrant? And it's like, man, just like this is not how art works. Do you think Charles Bukowski, do you think Picasso, do you think any of their stuff would be improved by them filling in fucking forms for a government apparatchik to decide if it's okay? When the government comes in and like starts funding your art form, it's not out of generosity. It's so they can control it. It's so that you have to push the government's message. People don't understand this. The state is a parasite. The state is a fucking the state is disgusting. It needs to be slashed back. And then you saw the people who are getting the funding. There's this comedian in Scotland, like Lubna Kerr. Like she's a nice woman, but she should definitely, like, you know who I'm talking about. You know, Lubna, she does a character like that Asian auntie or something.
Say her name again.
Lubna Kerr.
Okay.
Is that how you pronounce it? I don't fucking know. Anyway, she's man, like, comedy is something that the free market really works for comedy, because like a painting on the wall, who knows if it's good or not? You can have a little fucking, but with comedy, it's very obvious if somebody's good or not. You know what I mean?
Well,
people don't laugh.
Not
and they're not good.
because they push some right shit. Like if you watch,
Oh man, are they ever going to fucking stop pushing this shit? But yeah, she filled out the form, got like money to do some sort of comedy play or something. And it's like, man, that's not efficient. This shows that government inefficiency. Like comedy is the one area that I know about, so I know if somebody's funny. Like I think the government funded you to like I don't know, do something like to propel you to the next level. Or what? That'd be good use of money because you're funny. You kill on stage. You know what I mean?
it would
Love a car.
I'll just spend it and waste it.
You would just spend it and waste it, but it's better you spend it and waste it than fucking somebody's shit comedy. You know what I mean?
The thing is though, with that thing, surely no one can be reading that actual form. I reckon they're looking at that form. They must get so many applications. They just look yes, no. No one's gonna read through the whole thing. Who's got time to read 100 boring?
When I worked in the public sector, it's like hiring and stuff. You had to like give a score to each section and stuff, and there was so many sections. Hardly any of the sections actually related to the job or how somebody would do. And when it was like to the point that when somebody was good, you sometimes had to go back and like say like, look, you're really great for the job, but you need to redo this because we won't be able to get this through HR because you haven't explained how you're going to improve transgender diversity in dance classes in Ecuador. You know what I mean? It's like
they want you to specifically that when I worked for Transport for London, that happened to me. So I was doing the job. I had the job and I was a temp, and they went, oh, we want you to be permanent. This is before the comedy, and they were like, just apply for the job. So it's already the job I was doing. I didn't get it. He said because you didn't explain like what do they got all these stupid smart, like they've got these stupid acronyms like you gotta say and hit this, you gotta say this and how you would do that, and it's just like it doesn't actually serve. It doesn't. All that stuff is like you said, they're trying to create automatons of people who do what they said, do what they're told, when they're told, and how they're told. And in this, and like you said, they're not looking for anything outside the box. We're looking for this, and this, and then it is.
And those forms are just like anybody who's got the sort of ability to sit down and spend like 2 days of their life filling out a job application form for the public sector like that is a filter to get rid of anybody who can't. Like, because I did it for a while, but like man, it killed me. Even though like you're sitting about doing nothing all the time, for some reason it just destroys you. Like psychically,
you were good at job interviews. You always used to.
I was good at job interviews. Like I wasn't good at filling it. Well, I guess I learned how to do the forms and stuff, and I wasn't good at the jobs. You know what I mean? Like Jesus, all the amount of tick box and you got to do in those jobs. It's like it's soul destroying. And then in the private sector, it's much more. Even when I was working for BAE Systems, which is essentially almost like because it's got so many public sector contracts for consultancy and stuff. It's sort of like being in the public sector a bit. All corporate life is a bit like that now. Some of it's a lot like that, but like comedy is a completely like I never had a promoter being like, oh, you need to fill in this 20-page form showing how you're going to improve diversity in swamplands in fucking Minnesota. It's all just like, can you do the fucking job?
Remember when you tried to help me with how to do job interviews?
I didn't know.
I was desperately looking for a job, and you were like, I'm really good at job interviews. I'm gonna come and go and discuss how to do it, and then sit you through it. So we sat down, and by the end you went, I don't think you're gonna get the job. I didn't get the job. It was probably
you did.
No,
is that one?
I didn't get.
Remember you got that. Remember you got that job in America for like loads of money, and then they paid you off to not have you.
I got a job in America. I've genuinely signed a non-disclosure agreement. It was going to be $100,000 and a 70% bonus, right? And my first interview, I was in Miami and it was on Zoom or something. So I literally came in. I was in my swimming shorts, put a shirt on so you couldn't see what I was doing, and there was an Indian guy. And I had no clue what the job was. So I basically just MC'd him and took the piss out of him because Elsa was watching. So he was trying to ask me stuff, and I was just ripping the piss out of him. Like, come on, and obviously he's like, wow, this guy is so nonchalant and doesn't care about the job. He must really be good at his job, right? Then I went through about so many stages, and I just took, because I didn't want the job, didn't have any idea I would get it, took the piss. I got offered the job, and basically, the day before I was due to start, they had one guy who done some due diligence on me. Obviously, I'd shut down all my profiles, right, on my YouTube and stuff. Although they found that the YouTube video I'd done, and they're like, you're not allowed to work. And I'd done some open mics in New York, and they were like, oh, we've seen you been working in New York. You've been doing these comedy gigs. And I went, that's an open mic. And he tried to debate me. And listen, I'm not going to debate comedy with you. You're a lawyer. You don't know what you're talking about. It's an open mic. There's no money on it. He tried to debate me. I mugged him right off. So couldn't get me on that. But the way they got me, right, was I shut down all my profiles, except for my Twitter profile. But even when you lock it down, you can see the bio. And the bio just said, I run with 12 gangs and only commit hate crimes. Whatever. I do what I want, right?
Pretty accurate description.
Yeah, from South Park. But for the day before, he calls me up and he goes, yeah, Darius, we've got some concerns about your job. I was like, what are you talking about? So we've looked at your Twitter, and I was like, well, my Twitter's shut down. Then, like, he's obviously on like some sort of conference phone. He quoted, it says here you run with 12 gangs and only commit hate crimes. And he didn't laugh. I went, yeah, that's hilariously funny. I was like, that's genuine. Look, I said, don't act like that's not funny. We don't think this is a right fit. I said, well, you've wasted so much of my time. So they paid me off, and I got a lot of money from that, which is good at the time.
Yeah. And man, because I remember at the time you were saying, I don't want to go and do this job.
I wouldn't.
I was like, man, you got. This is the only time you'll ever get offered a well-paid job. You got to go and do this job at least until they fire you, and at least you'll get some money.
Well,
and then Edinburgh was coming up, and you didn't want to go and do it. You wanted to go and do the Edinburgh Fringe instead. And then luckily, they paid you off. Like
Edinburgh, the job was starting after the Edinburgh Festival, so I'd done the festival to start in September.
Right.
Then the day I was about to fly out, then it wasn't to be though. It was I wouldn't have lasted. The thing with America, it's not like England though. They've got at will, so they can just fire you anyway.
Yeah. Look at Elon Musk. He's like goes in, he just fires like loads of people.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're going to do that in the public sector.
Well, maybe
slash the beast like Javier Milei's done in Argentina. And it's rejuvenated. The thing is also, like, man, so all these people are in the public sector. Like the public sector in the UK spends 44% of the GDP. So like we're half of the country we're basically in Soviet Russia, and we don't even realize it yet. You know what I mean? So all those people that are in the public sector, because the private sector has a lot of jobs to fill. And they're saying, oh, that's why we need mass immigration. We can't fill these jobs. It's like, the people are here. They're just sitting on their arses doing nothing in the public sector. But fire them, and they can go and work for you.
The UK government apparently not making enough money from taxes to cover all its outgoings, even at them.
Oh, not anywhere near. And they're gonna borrow more. And they're also, man, a couple of sinister things they're doing. So they changed the rules so they can borrow more, which isn't like that. They're not making the country more financially sustainable. They've just changed the rules so they can borrow more. The other thing they're doing is they're gonna get all the public sector pensions. They're gonna sort of aggregate them into some mega funds, and those funds will have instructions to invest in things for the public good. So that basically means they're gonna lend money to the state, and the state can just tap them up for money. It's sort of like what Robert Maxwell did with the Mirror Pension Fund or whatever newspaper it was. So the pension funds should invest to make a profit so people can then draw down their pension. If the pension fund is just going to be doing things for the public good, that means they're not directed towards profit. They're directed towards what the government has decided is good, which is generally the government. So, man, that's a huge 20 years' time. There's going to be a lot of public sector workers being like, the pension fund is going bust, and then I'm going to have to bail them out and stuff. So we're going to have to pay again. Jesus Christ!
I don't expect to get any pension. I mean, not
me neither.
Not just because I've not actually worked, but if I worked, I wouldn't expect to get any pension.
Yeah, totally. I assume the state is going to go bust.
Yeah, there's no way. See, when they invest in a pension fund, they take the money from it, and then if that pension fund makes money, does that get put to the pension holders or not? So
a pension fund is supposed to make money, invest the money wisely.
And will the pensioners reap the benefit? Who gets the benefit of that? Is what I'm saying. Like, so say your
then it goes to pay the pensions of
will it increase what their pension would have been? So if it's a state pension, you say you're going to get 120, but then from the pension fund they made 100 billion. Will that increase?
Well, so say you got you work for Haringey Council or whatever, so you got a pension with Haringey Council. So this isn't the state pension. This is, you got the Haringey Council pension. So they've got a pension fund. They've invested in various things, and then the idea is that 30 years later when you retire, they've invested it wisely, so then they can pay out. And I'm sure they've got all kinds of ways of, copper plating it, so it's not like so it can't really go bust, but. The thing is, if it's not managed well, and if the whole system isn't managed well, then the whole system goes bust, and there's nobody to, it's not hedged with anything. But you don't get more if they've invested really wisely and it shoots up like 1,000,000%. It's not like they'll increase your pension in line.
That's what I mean.
With that. Yeah, no. I mean, it would if you had your own pension, if you had a self-invested pension.
Oh yeah, well,
then yeah, but that's
I'd get more money. All right, finally, before we go, a listener on YouTube messaged us, and he said, "I've re-listened to the podcast you did with Rick. You missed this podcast, but you lot bullied him or something. I don't think we did. I think we were quite fair, as Justin and I. I go, I would destroy you. So I invited him on, but to the podcast, but." This is an open invite. If you disagree with us and anything we say, we're happy to have conversations and chat, bring you on the podcast in an amicable way and discuss and debate and argue. But that's how it should. It shouldn't be
not amicable.
Well, in a not so confrontational way. Then, But it's the way it should be. I think it's interesting to chat to other people, which is why it's so stupid. The Guardian's just like, me leaving Twitter. Why would you leave the biggest place? Don't you believe in your ideas? Argue your point. Why?
Yeah, exactly. And also, if all these racist bigots are on Twitter, then surely they're the people whose minds you need to change. So present them with your superior lefty ideas.
Well, this is exactly the same reason why when they cut what was it called? Parler, when they cut that, it's like these people don't disappear. This is why we think they just disappear. They said, we can't see it, they're not there. No, it's just like putting a plaster over the check engine light. It's still on. It's not there. But like it's still happening, man. You got to engage. You got to debate. Then open invitation if any of you want to come on and debate. If you've got any sort of presence and can hold a conversation, we're happy to bring you in. I think we've done over an hour now. Is there any other things you wanted to touch on?
No.
Okay. So in summary, the biggest news this week is Clifton Suspension Bridge is leaving Twitter. So we'll never know what's happening with it from now on.
Yeah. Did we have any other stories? I think I covered with them.
The Maccabi fans, the pogroms. And
that's
it's a bit old now. Women's
Also, whatever you say about it, people moan. That's what I noticed. Because I mentioned it in the video. Not that I mind people moaning.
Well, you know what I noticed? The Israel-Palestine situation. Actually, I noticed this from Hate and Live even. It just, even in the most skilled comedian's hands, remember we had Shafir did Hate and Live, even he couldn't make Israel as like a funny conversation. Couldn't make it funny. It's just too polemical. But
polemical? You always say that word. I don't think you know what it means.
What do you think it means?
Well, a polemic is like a sort of rant.
Expressing or constituting a strongly critical attack and/or a controversial opinion about someone or something. So I got it.
Whoa! Oh, you're right. I thought a polemic was like a sort of rhetorical rant.
What you need to understand is, though I sound like this, I went to University College London, and you went to Peebles or wherever the fuck you are. Never ever forget it, yeah?
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
You're qualified. I pretend to be dumber than...
Polemical.
And that's right. I love good... Polemical. Anyway, without further ado, let's call it a day. Any other news going? Anything to say?
Don't think so. I don't think so. I can't find the list of stuff that we had. This is the thing. Everybody always chats too much in the group, and then you lose the sort of
cryogenically freeze leftists. That's the.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
What was that?
Nico says it's not. Nico said it's not letting him join. He's tried to join the podcast and it didn't work.
Really?
But I guess he'll have to do the next one. Maybe he's in the wait. the waiting room.
He's not come on because I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Come on. Guess what I'm seeing tonight? Tony Moresi.
Ah, nice. How come?
Because I'm flipping doing a gig in Torquay. Obviously, I look basically.
Torquay.
You
Have you got to go at Torquay?
Oh my God.
Man, you better fucking leave.
I know the money's good, right? But obviously I did it. It's like in Ipplepen. And I was like, I just looked at the fee. I went, yeah, I'll do that. I didn't know where Ipplepen
How much is it?
was like.
80 pounds.
I wish it was that much. It's £40. Right? I was like, what, £40? This is about a bargain. So the money was good, but then I thought, let me just check where this is. Like I checked like 2 days ago. So I'll say, but then Tony lives there, so I'm gonna go see him later on. I might do.
Is he on the bill?
No, but they asked if I could drive anyone, and I was like, no, because I don't like people. I said,
Yeah.
maybe I'm gonna get Tony to see. They should ask if Tony wants to do it. I said, thing is, Tony Moresi is so funny.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to follow him.
Yeah, but he's been out of the game for a while, so maybe.
He might be. Nah, he's not. Because he never did material really. He just.
yeah.
It's just so
Funny
funny.
guy.
So anyway, I'm gonna see him. But listen, thank you for listening to this podcast. Couple of announcements. Like and subscribe. Sign up to the Patreon, which we definitely put content on all the time, frequently. And finally, I'm bringing the Haters Ball to Perth, Australia, at the Fringe, January 15th till February 15th. So we'll see you there. Check out Leo's YouTube channel. You're over 100,000 subscribers. That's pretty cool.
Almost at 130,000.
Holy, Leo's YouTube famous now.
I got 129,137 subscribers.
Pretty good. And you got them because of your opinions, not from other people's opinions, which is important.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just interviewing people.
Yeah. All right. Nice one. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Wait. Say bye.
Oh, yeah, I've got to wait till it uploads or something.
Da.